This is a Headgum podcast.
Sometimes when the world feels insane, you can take a little peek inside of Rachel's little brain. All these thoughts are swirling round and round inside. So join us on this journey as we take a little ride. We'll talk about dogs and kids and things. We'll talk about chicks and tampon strings. We'll talk about boys that'll make you cry. We'll talk about death, 'cause people die.
Welcome to Broad Ideas. Hi.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. I guess I don't thank you enough for welcoming us.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
It's very considerate.
Yeah, thanks. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
An expert in the field today.
An expert in the field today.
Mm-hmm. It was a fun one.
What field are we talking about, Kevin?
OnlyFans.
That's right.
The OnlyFans field.
The OnlyFans field. Yeah, I really had a lot of genuine questions.
100%.
Yeah.
Because we're
I
always...
still do. My brain's still
I
going.
know, still going. We need to get Annie back.
Yeah, because there's so many questions.
So many questions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people could even write in and we could do another one and ask more questions
Totally.
if we need to.
She was very great and open and willing to answer all.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're actually excited to share
Let's do it.
all that we've learned today.
Here is Annie Knight.
Thanks for joining us and
Thank
talking
you for
to us
having me
today.
on.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you.
Yeah, it's been a big week, so I'm keen to unpack it with you guys.
Yeah, I think that's necessary, right? Like we've had this conversation going for a while of speaking to you, and then obviously there was a lot of attention in the press about what you've been going through, and you know, I'm really glad that you're here and willing to talk to us about it. And we'll get into all our
for sure.
questions and all of that after. But just take us through it. Take us through where you started, what happened, and where you are now.
So where I started in like my current career.
Yeah. All of it.
So
and anywhere you want to start.
The time you were born.
So I was working in marketing back in 2020, and I was earning like probably $40,000 a year. And I was like, I just want to buy a house one day. How am I going to buy a house earning $40,000 a year? And then I started seeing this thing called OnlyFans on my TikTok page and people talking about all this money they were making. And I was like, oh, that will never be me. But I could make an OnlyFans and maybe make like an extra $2,000 a month to save for a house. So that was sort of like the premise for why I started. And then I kind of did it on the down low for like 2 years, somehow managed to avoid my work finding out about it until I didn't avoid it anymore and they did find out about it. And that was in 2022. And the job I was working at the time, I absolutely hated. I was crying every day. I was like, how am I going to do this for the next 40 years? And then, I got fired. And the first thing I felt was relief. And I was like, I think this is like a sign from the universe that I'm meant to be doing OnlyFans full time and just putting 100% of my time and effort into that. So I kind of just went gangbusters and put everything I could into that. And then over the past 3 years, it's just grown and grown and grown until, where I'm at now.
So where tell us where you are now.
So, I mean, I am very fortunate that I, have a lot of financial freedom. I own 4 properties, which is like the thing I'm most proud of. That's something I've always wanted to do, is get into like property and real estate. I'm engaged. I'm really, really happy. I have the ability to travel wherever I want, whenever I want. I'm basically just living my dream life, doing my dream job.
Wow. So how much time does it take up in your life, like dedicating, to OnlyFans?
I think it really depends like how successful you want to be, because I've seen a lot of girls who have OnlyFans and they say, oh, it's so easy. I'm like, yeah, well, it is easy if you just want to sit back and make like basically the same amount of money you were earning at a normal job. But if you really, really, really want to make the big bucks, you have to work hard. Like it's so oversaturated these days. So, you know, I basically work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's because I choose to do it and I love it so much and I enjoy it. But it does take a toll. It's quite exhausting.
So what does that entail? Like when you're working 14 hours, what are you actually doing?
So it kind of changes day to day. Obviously, there's a lot of filming involved. I need to film content for the platform. I need to chat to my subscribers. I sometimes do like live videos, photo shoots, that kind of thing. But there's also like a lot of admin and marketing involved. So, you know, you need to market yourself on social media. So I'm basically on every social media platform known to man and have like multiple accounts on all of them. So trying to create different content for each. And then obviously, managing properties on top of that as well is quite hard. So, yeah, and it's just a lot of admin. Like when I did the big challenge, which I'm sure we'll talk about, there was so much organization involved and like having to talk to people and like hire people for certain roles. And yeah, it's a lot of admin.
Yeah. I just think that there's so many, you know, like we'll be sitting here and be like, well, oh, OnlyFans, like, and people talk about it and doing it, but like really wanting to know what goes into it, you know, like the content you are making and like, because you can make, it can be so lucrative, like, you know, you're a perfect example of it. But I know even personally the questions are like, oh, well, what are you actually doing? Like, what are you filming? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, how far does it have to go or not?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, too, in that, if you could cover, because one of the questions that comes to my mind with something like the big challenge, and we'll unpack that and let everybody know what that means, but there's just such a varying degree of content, right? And you've got the girls that don't hook up with anyone else and they're getting paid X amount of dollars. Then you've got the girls that are. And so people hear OnlyFans. A lot of people, I mean, I think it's like 190 million users right now for OnlyFans, which is staggering number of human beings that are subscribed to it. Out of those subscribed, those people know the difference, right? But out of us 14 people left on the earth that aren't subscribed, what do people on OnlyFans do? Like, what does it cover? And why did you end up doing the big challenge? Like, what brought you there? Kind of just unpack all that.
We're throwing so much at you.
I know. But you got this.
You got many questions.
I mean, you can have all kinds of content on there. Like some people choose to show like absolutely no nudity or anything like that. And then other people do absolutely everything, you know, film themselves having sex and stuff like that, which is the content that I do. But it didn't start out that way for me. Initially, you know, I did the classic, I'm just going to do bikini photos and make $1 million. But obviously that wasn't realistic and that's not what happened. And then as time progresses and people start asking you for things like, I want to see you nude, I want to see you doing this on video, and they start offering you large sums of money, it's kind of hard to say no. But there are still people out there that, they just decide, no, I've got my boundaries, I'm not doing full nudity. And so they might just do bikini photos, or they might just offer like chatting services where they get to chat to their fans and followers, because obviously on Instagram, if, you know, they've got hundreds of thousands of followers, it can be hard to respond to everyone. It's like I may as well make some money out of this and make them pay to chat to me. So some people, I guess that's more like influencers and stuff like that, well-known people that can do that. But yeah, a lot of people, most people that I know do like full explicit content, having sex on camera, whether that be with a partner or, you know, strangers like what I do. It's just, there's such a wide variety of content. But I guess sort of like the reason for the challenge that I did recently, which was sleeping with 583 guys in 6 hours.
Hold on.
I know.
Take a second. That just came out like it was, I went to the post office, right? That's 6 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
It was pretty wild. So, I mean, I've kind of been doing challenges for like the past 3 years. I like to say like I was the original challenge girl, but I was doing like marathons. So I would sort of set out the challenge of sleeping with 300 guys in a year. And then last year I set out the challenge of doing 600 guys in a year, and I think I did 654. And then this year I was like, oh, I'll do 1,000. Like, that'll be good. But people were kind of sick of it. Like, everyone was kind of like, oh, you know, if you've done 600, you've done 1,000. Like, what's the difference? And I was like, oh, true. It's not that much of a challenge. It doesn't feel like much of a challenge. And then I was like, oh, could be cool to do like a large sum of guys in a day, and also give my subscribers and my followers who have literally gotten me to where I am today to be able to like give back to them and I guess let them have their shot with me. And I opened an application form basically to like set up a time to rail me is what I say, so have sex with me, back in September last year, and I got like 25,000 applications. Yeah, and I'm
not surprised.
No, not surprised. It's just the number, you hear it and you're like, okay.
I know. But yeah, I was like I was getting messages from people being like, when's it going to be my turn? Why haven't I heard back yet? And I was like, oh my God, like I feel so bad. I want to like be able to see everyone and, you know, give everyone the chance. So that's when I was like, I think it's a good idea to just like put it.
Just pause there for 1 second.
Yeah.
Is that do you really feel like that? Like, does it feel in the moment like, oh man, I want him to have a shot? Like, you really feel like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. These people, I think everyone thinks that like subscribers and stuff of OnlyFans are like weird and creepy, but like they're honestly just the nicest people ever. They're so respectful, and yeah, like that's why I wanted to like give back, so to speak.
Wow.
And yeah, and then I put out a registration. So it wasn't an application, it was a registration basically saying if you register, you will be told the address and the time to come to, you know, have sex with me. And so I put that up and I got 2,000 registrations. And I kind of was expecting like 200 people, because you get a lot of cancellations in this sort of industry when you're sleeping with, you know, just normal guys, because they sort of freak out a little bit, which is fair enough. So on the day when 583 people rocked up, I was shocked. And it honestly didn't feel like that many guys. At the end of the day, I asked my assistant, like, what was the final number? She was like 583. And I was like, what? It felt like 250 maybe.
Okay, sorry. I know my mouth is like on the floor a little bit, just because like there's just the number alone, right? So like, okay.
It's a lot.
So there's so many places I want to go and questions I want to ask, but 583 guys show up. Now, do they all have to go through a process like before they get to you?
Yes. So it was like, this is the organization that came into play. It was basically like they arrived, they had to sign in with my assistants and show their IDs, fill out multiple consent forms, release forms, allowing me to sell the content online and saying that they consent to that content being sold online. They then had to get patted down and have like bag searches from my security. And then they were handed a condom, a balaclava, and a wristband with their number on it. And then they were basically just in a line for ages until it was going to be their turn. And we're kind of doing it in like groups of sort of like 5 to 20. It kind of varied as if I was starting to get tired and stuff. But there was a security guard at the door of the room that I was in, and he was basically like giving the guys instructions for what's allowed, what's not allowed, to watch out for the camera and all that kind of thing. And we had porn up on the big screen because my fluffer, do you guys know what a fluffer is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us for anyone who doesn't?
A fluffer is basically someone who is there to like get the guys hard so that like basically they're ready when they come to me, so I don't have to do like extra work. And my fluffer didn't show up on the day, and I was like, what am I going to do?
Oh, shit.
So I was like full panic mode. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get through all these guys because like they're not going to be able to get hard. And then, you know, I was just like, what are we going to do? So we put porn up on the big screen. We told the guys in the line to get porn up on their phones if they needed it. And yeah, it was a little bit more work for me because I just was using my hands and my mouth a lot more than I was expecting. And so I was like, yeah, I was quite tired just from that. I think like that was the hardest part of it. But yeah, and so when the guys got sent through to me with like, you know, in a group of say 10 at a time, There'd be a videographer in the room. There was a photographer in the room. And then there was also another assistant of mine who was doing the timing. So obviously, because we're going for like large numbers, we wanted to make sure that everyone had enough, had the same amount of time. So it was between like 30 to 60 seconds per guy. And so he would just say, next, and then the next guy would come in. So it actually moved pretty smoothly, but it was, also chaotic.
So 30 seconds, and I'm sorry, I might get a little graphic or detailed, but it's 30 seconds of actual like insertion, penetration, and then they're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were allowed like a blowjob and a hand job and stuff beforehand, which wasn't counted in the timing. Obviously, if they were going to be there for 2 minutes and they weren't being able to get hard, they were sent to the back of the room to come back, a bit later.
Oh my God. Imagine those guys like, no.
Wait, the hand job and the blowjob was by you because your fluffer wasn't there. So you had to do that in between letting them
No,
in.
I was doing it at the same time. So
as
I would
other
have
people
one guy.
got it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why it was like hard. My shoulders were so sore because I was like having to prop myself up and like, I don't know, it was just a lot going on. But yeah, so they would have like 30 to 60 seconds actually like inside me, and then whether they finished or not, they were like moved on. But yeah, it was basically just like, okay, who's ready? Who's ready to go? Okay, you're in. And then like I'd have like a guy each side and then one in front of me. It was insane.
That's a lot of dick. This is just
It was a lot.
It's a lot.
Every time I looked around, there was like 20 dicks out. I'm like, this is
Oh my gosh. Just the visual is like crazy.
Yeah.
So it was essentially like orgy after orgy in a sense, like just like so many guys insert here, there. And you're saying they had to go over like what was allowed and what wasn't allowed. What was not allowed?
So the only thing that's never allowed for me is anal. I always say no anal.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty much allowed. It was more just like, okay, keep your eye out for the camera because we had the videographer there videoing it. So if they like stood in front of the camera, that's not a good angle kind of thing.
Right.
And just like, okay, guys, like when you get told next, you have to move on. You have to wear a condom, whether it's for a blowjob or, actual like vaginal sex. You have to wear a condom. And yeah, just basically like you have to be ready to go. So start getting to work,
And I've never done a
blowjob with a condom?
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking?
Yeah.
It is weird, but it's sort of like, some guys aren't super hygienic all the time. And so it does create sort of like a barrier in that sense. Most of the guys on the day were great. They were showered. Everything was all good. But I have had guys before who have rocked up to film with me and I'm like, oh my God, that smell is not good, and have asked them to have a shower.
That's
and then
not
I've worn
okay.
a condom. Yeah, it's not good. And yeah,
Wow.
I don't like that part of it.
What about
so the condom sort of acts as a barrier.
Spring is here, and my cat parent friends finally found a litter that keeps things fresh. Pretty litter. No more stink and no more stress.
And I appreciate that.
100%.
Seriously, a few of my friends and family members have switched to Pretty Litter, and every time I visit, I'm shocked. No smell, just spring in the air.
What?
Just no smell, just fresh spring air.
They rave about it. Seriously. Pretty Litter's non-clumping formula traps odor and moisture. It's super lightweight, low dust, and a 6-pound bag lasts up to a month. One of my friends said it's the first litter that doesn't make her feel like she needs to burn a candle in every room.
That's nice.
Yes.
And here's the part that really sold them. Pretty Litter changes color to help detect potential health issues in cats.
Crazy.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Like UTIs or kidney problems before they become serious. It's peace of mind in a bag of litter.
It's Dr. Litter.
Yeah.
Plus, it ships free right to their doors. No more last-minute trips. No more dragging giant tubs from store to trunk to home. It's just there when they need it.
Pretty Litter has totally changed how my people feel about having cats at home.
Yeah, I actually enjoy going to their house.
Me too.
Try it and you'll see what the hype is about. Go to prettylitter.com/broadideas to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/broadideas to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy.
Pretty Litter cannot detect every feline health issue or prevent or diagnose diseases. A diagnosis can only come from a licensed veterinarian.
prettylitter.com/broadideas. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details.
This is the truth. It's not a pretty litter lie.
If you are ready to upgrade your sleep, Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses customized to your unique sleep style and ships them right to your door.
And that's exactly what happened.
That's right.
I love that you can go in and put in exactly how you and your partner sleep. Just take the Helix Sleep Quiz to find your perfect mattress based on your body type and sleep preferences. They have options for side sleepers, like myself, hot sleepers, and anyone in between.
Each mattress is designed for comfort and support so you can finally wake up feeling rested with options like the Helix Midnight and my personal favorite, Helix Luxe. Honestly, I look forward to getting into my cozy bed each night and love that I actually wake up feeling energized for my day.
And it shows up right at your door in a box. That was really cool.
It was so cool.
Unboxing it was amazing. It just puffs right up.
So if you are not obsessed with your bed, you need to try Helix. Take the quiz, find your match, and thank us later.
Love it. Go to helixsleep.com/broadideas.
For 27% off site-wide.
That's helixsleep.com/broadideas.
For 27% off site-wide.
And be sure to let them know that we sent you by putting our show name in the post-purchase survey. What about as far as attraction? Like, is there a process, almost like a casting process that happens where you're
Like it has to be
approving
a certain
that
level
there
of attraction?
it's a certain aesthetic or a certain age? Are there any requirements around that?
No, I think back when I first did like my application process where I was kind of doing individual meetups and stuff like that, I was a little bit more picky. But obviously for the challenge day, that was the whole point of it, was like all shapes and sizes, all ages welcome type thing. And the guys all wore balaclavas, or at least most of them did. Some
What
of the
is
guys
that?
said that they didn't want to.
What's
like
that?
You don't know what a balaclava is? Like, you know when like you're getting robbed and those guys come in with those
Oh,
like,
they
ski
had
masks?
a face cover.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. So their
So, like,
faces are
they had
not on
these-
camera. Everyone is covered.
Yeah. And they were like baby pink, which I thought was really cute. I thought it was less scary than like black ski masks. And I look around, I feel like I'm getting robbed or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so their faces were all covered, but some guys were like, no, like I want to get my face in there. I don't mind. But I just mostly did it for their protection because I get a lot of hate online and I didn't want people like DMing them or finding them online or outing them or them getting fired or something from their
Or
job.
if they're married.
Yeah, that was the other thing. There were quite a few married guys on the day, which I didn't know at the time because I'm busy. I've got stuff going on,
Yeah.
but my like staff members would tell me after, and I was like, "Oh, whoops."
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
could you
Right?
imagine?
I know.
That
That's
would be
just-
rough if you find
Yeah.
out that your husband was
You're watching,
doing
you're
that
like,
behind
I
your
know
man.
that.
yeah.
that mole on that left thigh. But how much of that is acting for you, and how much do you actually, is there a part of you that gets turned on by it?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. Like, that's why I did it. And I think everyone's like, oh, weren't you tired? But it's the adrenaline of the day, and it's so fun. Like, it was such a fun environment because the guys were all so excited and so happy to be there and be a part of it. And I was just so grateful that they showed up. So we'd be like in the middle of the scene, and then one guy would leave. He'd be like, thank you so much. And I'd be like, thanks so much for coming. And then the next guy comes in, and it was just like, it was so funny. We caught those bits on camera. But yeah, I love it. I enjoy it. I finished like 6 times. So there were some guys who were like really good.
Oh my gosh.
And what does your fiance think of this?
So he and I have been best friends for 10 years. So we've been best friends first and foremost, and he's been here to watch my journey on OnlyFans from the start. And so he's understood that, like, you know, it's a business and it's also a job that I love and I enjoy, and he's always been super supportive of it because he's seen how happy it makes me and how much purpose it gives me. And, you know, obviously he's human, so it's not always, you know, rainbows and butterflies. Some days he's a little bit insecure or he's not feeling great about himself, and he'll be like, oh, you're going off and having sex with 5 guys? Like, cool. But once we have a conversation about it and he's sort of reminded, you know, like, you're my fiance, you know, this is work. I like it, but it's a job. He's always sort of, you know, he comes around and he feels a bit better about it. But yeah, he is pretty supportive.
Even on the day of the big challenge when it's that many guys that you're sleeping with.
Yeah, his number one thing is always like, just be safe, be smart. And he knew my assistants that were there on the day were also my friends. So, and friends with him. So he, you know, had his trust in them to take care of me and make sure I was okay and all of that. So yeah, he was okay.
Does he watch your content?
If I'm like editing something on my computer and he walks in, like, you know, he'll be like, oh, what's this? But like, he doesn't sit down and watch my content.
Right.
So let's go back a bit, because it's interesting. Most of the people and the narrative in this world and in this field seem to have a really positive relationship to it, right? But it does lend itself to the question of, how is that affecting your self-esteem? And what are the effects of it? Because we could take anything. I could talk about being a waitress and be like, yeah, it was good money and it was easy and I liked the hours. But even that, there was things that affected me, right? So to be not affected would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like any job. Yeah, as you said, you get affected by certain things at certain points. For me, a big one is a lot of people will say, you know, is this like you putting your value in how much people are attracted to you or how badly they want to have sex with you? And it's like, for me, no, because it's never been important for me, or it has been maybe back when I was younger. But like these days, I don't care about how much people want me. That's not important. I know my value. I know my self-worth. I don't need other people to show me or tell me that. So that's one thing that I've got that I think like just makes it easier for me as opposed to some other people. But yeah, like of course there's negatives to it. It's basically putting myself up to be ridiculed and made fun of, and I get the worst hate you've ever seen. I mean, all you have to do is go through my comment section on Instagram. But I have thick skin. I think the industry has taught me to have thick skin. And at the end of the day, the only thing that I care about is what my friends and family think, and, you know, that I'm sticking to my morals and what I believe in. And yeah, there's hard days. There's days where I'm like, oh, you know, you're kind of up against it with, you know, social media violations. You're getting stuff taken down. You're scared you're going to lose your accounts. The main like that's basically your main marketing. And, you know, it's just a constant battle of being like, oh, my God, is today the day I'm going to lose everything? So there's things like that, yeah, it's quite stressful at times. But as a whole, it's the best job ever.
And what about, you said family. How does your family feel about all of it?
Yeah, I'm really lucky that my family are very supportive. They, obviously, my mum specifically, early days, she was more just worried about, like, my future, my safety, that kind of thing. So she took a little while to come around. And when I say a little while, like a couple of weeks, she didn't talk to me for 2 weeks, and then she did start talking to me again. But it kind of took her like a year or two to fully see that like this was a business and that I was just, you know, this was a career and I was making money from it and I was being smart with my money. And then she's now at the point where she's just like really pro sex work, and she just, yeah, is super supportive.
Yeah.
And my dad's like just super chill. He's just like, yeah, if it makes you happy, do it. Like life's short, YOLO.
Wow.
I know.
That's very Australian.
Very Australian, yeah.
And what about your physical health? Because let's talk about the hospitalization. What happened there?
Yeah, so I have been dealing with endometriosis, well, probably since I was like 18, but I only got diagnosed like 2 years ago. And since then, I've been, like I had the surgery, had it excised, and then as of January, I've been having ongoing issues with just like heavy bleeding, really bad period pains, very, very irregular periods. And I've basically been to a specialist. I've had all the tests under the sun, and they can't figure out what's going on. So I've been dealing with that behind the scenes whilst, you know, doing my job, which has been quite difficult at times given the nature of my work. And then obviously I had the challenge coming up, so I was super anxious about where my health was going to be the week of the challenge and the day of the challenge. And then the week prior, leading up to the challenge, I was feeling great. Everything was all good. Day of the challenge felt amazing. And then about 2 days after the challenge, I started bleeding quite heavily and was just in a lot of pain. And I mean, in the back of my head, I thought, okay, well, this is probably just the ongoing issues I've been having, but I didn't want to risk it just in case, you know, there was something else that was maybe challenge related. So I went to the hospital and all the doctors and all the nurses had seen, you know, the challenge. And so immediately they were like, well, maybe she's ruptured something. This could be really serious. So they did like a bunch of tests and scans and whatnot. But yeah, they couldn't, once again, they couldn't figure out really why it was happening. And so they said, well, it's probably just your endometriosis. It's unlikely that it's the challenge. There's nothing like seriously wrong in there. So yeah.
It's hard to believe that there wasn't anything like wrong or ruptured after that many over that amount of time, like I would imagine.
Well, I don't know. I think realistically, each guy, the average size was like 4 to 5 inches. So these weren't like huge guys, you know. Maybe if it was like all porn stars, you know, there could be some serious issues there. But like, because they were just average Joes, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, we literally pushed babies out of there. So
yeah,
that's true.
It's pretty elastic.
Yeah, for sure. And so you would say like a majority were like average Joes?
Yeah,
average Ds?
Yeah.
Average Ds, yeah. There was a few guys who were like bigger, but it was maybe like 20 of them, and the rest were 4, 5 inches on average.
Wow.
Did your body hurt afterwards?
Yeah, my arms, shoulders were really sore. My legs were a little bit sore. My jaw was a bit sore. That's why, like, on the day of the challenge, like, when I went home, my body was sore more than, like, my vagina was.
Right.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if it's only 30 seconds, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but still, I mean, listen, I'm going to be 100% honest. There's times I wouldn't want to have sex 2 times in a day. Do you know what I mean? Like, if my husband's like, you ready again? I'm like, fuck no. We already did it today. So, to think of that, like physically, mentally, emotionally, like that takes a lot of stamina on a lot of levels that I don't think anyone could do. I think that it takes a certain stamina to keep up with that, right?
Yeah. That's sort of the mindset I went in with it. Like I was like, well, this is a challenge. This isn't meant to be easy. But I was excited, and like I said, a lot of it was adrenaline. Keep in mind, I like hadn't been to the gym in about 6 months, so that's probably why my body was so sore, because I was like just using it more than I had been. But I also have days where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like having sex today. Like I can't. You know, like I'm only human. I don't want it all the time, and that's why I was nervous, because I was like, if I'm not really feeling it on the day, how am I going to do that many guys? So I was so relieved, and I was like, okay, I actually feel really good today, and, I'm keen to do this. But I was very lucky.
Right. And so a lot of your content is actual, like, sexual interaction, right, is what you're filming most of the time.
Yes.
You say you meet up with strangers, and it's kind of like the same process?
Yeah. So, basically just, like, giving normal guys a chance. And I think, like, my subscribers like that real, raw content where, I don't cut out the in-betweens. It's not like a perfectly curated porn scene, which, I do scenes like that as well. But I think they really like the regular looking guys who they're like, oh, that looks like me. Or like, oh, that has happened to me before. He couldn't get hard. Like saying that happens to me. Or he finished in 30 seconds or whatever it is that's relatable and makes them feel better. And that I like making that content, because I think a lot of people put so much pressure on themselves to perform a certain way and like have their sex look a certain way just because that's what they've seen online. It's like, well, that's not real, Right.
Well, do you ever have like actual porn stars come and film stuff with you?
Yeah, I do. Like, we call them creator collabs. So, like, other people in the industry who do OnlyFans and stuff, we'll organize a collaboration. But it is quite hard because in Australia there aren't a lot of male porn stars.
Really?
So it's slim pickings. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you guys would split the fee or the money you would make in a collab.
So the way it works is you obviously both have OnlyFans accounts, so you both sell it on both of your accounts and you keep the money you earn from it. And you have to sell it for like the same price, it gets released on the same day, all that kind of thing.
Are you open about how much you made doing the challenge?
Yes. So my earnings have basically tripled. And I was earning like $200,000 a month before the challenge. So.
Dude. I mean, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Okay, so 200,000 a month before, and
So
then
it's
doing the
before
challenge.
That.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know how to do math.
So-
That's 600 a month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
That is crazy. But that's why we always talk about it. We're like, wow, there's so much money.
Well, there's so much money and there's so much demand. Because if you think about it, if you think about 190 million people are subscribed, how many people are on the planet?
I know. But you said it's pretty saturated now. You think is it just like a ton of people doing it?
It's become harder. Like, I've seen it since I've done it in 2020. I remember it used to be like so easy to earn. Yeah, I think back then I was earning like $20,000 a month. And I was like, wow, this is so easy. I was not putting in any effort at the time. Whereas, you know, like now these days you have to work harder. You have to market yourself harder because there's so many girls. Like, I go on Instagram and it's just like OnlyFans girl, OnlyFans girl, OnlyFans girl. Like, you're on TikTok and it's all OnlyFans girls. So you need to like stand out from the crowd. Like, why do people want to subscribe to you over that person, you know? And the other thing is, like, of that, I think you said 190 million, 90 million of them are from the US. So the US is the biggest market. So
Shocker.
As an Australian creator, it can be quite difficult to like crack the US market. But once you've done that, that's where the real money is. You know, Americans spend more money. I think there's someone did some research and it's like an Australian subscriber will spend like $20 on average, whereas an American subscriber will spend like $80 on average. So there's quite a big difference there.
Have you cracked the code on what the Americans want?
To be honest, I mean, it's not that different from what everyone else wants. They just want, a lot of the time, I mean, it differs person to person. Some people want that like emotional connection almost, like girlfriend experience where they're sort of talking to you online and you talk to them every single day. You send them pictures of your food and what you're doing at that time and all that kind of thing. And then other people, they literally just want to buy content. They're like, send me this video, I want that video, or do you have a video of this? And obviously there's a lot of fetishes out there as well. So, yeah.
What's the craziest fetish that you've come across?
There's honestly so many that I just did not even know existed. Like, people have fetishes for, like, armpits. I get that a lot. They want to see, like, armpit photos and videos of me licking my armpit, stuff like that.
Licking your own armpit? Like,
Can you?
oh, yeah, you can.
It is possible.
Never tried.
Yeah. And then there's, like, belly button fetishes. I get that quite a bit as well. People have fetishes, the gross ones like period blood and poo and urine and vomit even. Like, there's ones like that. Yeah. Which, by the way, none of that's allowed on OnlyFans, but other platforms do allow that. I've never dabbled in that. That's not really my thing.
That makes me sick.
Yeah, that's weirdly common. Like, I feel like I get a request in that realm at least once a day.
Wow.
Once a day.
Yeah.
I don't understand what turns people on about vomit.
I don't know.
Is it a control thing? Like, what do you think that's about?
I don't know. I would love to know. Like, childhood trauma or something? I don't know.
Do you have childhood trauma?
Oh.
Do I have trauma? No.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I had a pretty normal upbringing. I went to a private all-girls Catholic school from the age of 5 until I was 18. So it was kind of like, it's funny that I do what I do now, really. But My upbringing was, pretty normal. I had a dad that loved me, a mum that loved me. They got divorced when I was quite young. That's the only sort of trauma I guess I could say I had.
Yeah.
My question is around security and like, what about like stalkers and things like that? How, I would imagine that would come into play a lot.
So I've never had an issue with like a stalker in person, thank God, touch wood. But I have had like issues with, I guess, people online being quite persistent. So this one person that comes to mind was, you know, always after the girlfriend experience, constantly messaging me. You know, I have to sleep. So when I'm sleeping, you know, he'd be just bombarding me with messages. Why aren't you responding? Why aren't you responding? I'd wake up. I'd talk to him. He was a very big spender. He spent about $20,000. But he was getting to the point where he was like saying he was going to like kill himself if I didn't respond and stuff like that. And it started making me feel really scared. And then he would send me screenshots of flights he'd booked because he was overseas. But flights he'd booked to come to Australia, and he would like make dinner reservations for both of us and send me screenshots of them. And it was just at the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's not worth the money. So I blocked him. And then he basically, every time I'd block him, he'd make a new account and he would contact me on every social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. He would send emails to my email account. Like, it was just relentless. And I started getting really scared that he was going to, you know, because I wasn't responding to him, that he was going to come try and find me. So I did go to the police just in case. But thankfully that sort of like died down a little bit now. And I haven't had any other experiences since, which is good.
And that was the only experience you've had out of all of the subscribers?
Yeah, like most of the guys are just quite respectful. At least maybe that's just my experience, that I've been really lucky.
Yeah.
And what about as far as just having conversations with people? What do you charge for that?
And is it on camera?
Oh, the conversations?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do like video calls and stuff like that where they charge, you know, you can charge, say, $300 for half an hour or whatever people charge. I don't have heaps of time for that, but I do like, I call them sexting sessions, basically, where like you're chatting to your fans and then sending them videos and stuff, and then they send videos back. So it's sort of like almost like Snapchatting, but you're on OnlyFans. And you kind of just, I sort of put a price tag on the content. So I might send a video of just like me with my boobs out first, and that might be like $40, and then you kind of like go up in price as things progress. But to actually just chat to me on there, it is free. But obviously if you're,
It's
so
free?
I mean, like, sorry, they pay the $5, I've got a $5 subscription fee. They can chat to me for free, but if they're not spending money, like, I'm not really going to talk to them. So there's a certain period of time where I'm like, okay, I'll chat to you. Here's some content. Like, do you want to do a sexting session? Blah, blah, blah. I'll try for a couple of days. And if they don't spend any money, then it's like, right, well, I'm not going to talk to you then and waste my time. I've got subscribers that are paying to chat to me. I'm going to talk to them.
Wow.
So aside from the heavy hitters like the vomit and the, you know, urine and all that, what are some other fetishes that have been introduced to you that you were like, interesting, didn't know people? Because I've heard things
armpits.
recently where I'm like, besides like armpits or like, I don't know, people, we recently found out that people get paid to be degraded and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was new information for us.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's financial domination as well, where people will give you their bank account details and they're like, take all my money. Like, I want you to drain my bank accounts. Yeah.
Why? What is going on?
I don't know. It's like a control thing almost. Like I don't know. It's like, I guess the same thing. They just want to be like dominated and used or something. And then there's like balloon fetishes. So guys like these like huge balloons you can get and like you just sit on them and pop them and stuff, whether it be you're naked or not. A lot of guys are into that. That's called looning.
Looning.
Never heard it. Never
So you
heard
just
it.
bounce on a balloon
Yeah, until it pops.
and you don't have to be naked always.
Well, yeah, sometimes they don't want you to be naked. They might say like, oh, in a specific outfit or something. Obviously, for the most part, yeah, they want you to be naked, but sometimes they don't.
It's really mind-boggling. It's like, I think because of the internet, like, this has always been a thing, right? We just didn't know it. Now it's just exposed.
Right.
Well, do you remember, like, I remember years ago when I first found out that foot fetishes were a thing. And now, like, everyone knows that they're a thing. It's like, oh, I'll just sell pics of my feet on OnlyFans. But, like, back in the day, because there wasn't the internet and stuff, people didn't really know about that kind of thing. So I think it's the same with all these other fetishes. But, yeah, there's literally a fetish for everything. There's something called a giantess fetish where, like, guys want you to pretend like you're this huge monster and they're just like this tiny little person. You're like picking them up and manhandling them and stuff like that.
And so you're playing these characters.
I mean, I kind of pick and choose like we call them custom videos that I do, depending on like how much time I have free and also how much money they're willing to pay as well. I used to do a lot more sort of like a year or two ago. But yeah, I still do them occasionally because they're fun and they're different.
Well, it's also like, and I see why it's so intriguing because I'm like, I'll play a monster, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's easy. That's the easiest money.
I'll jump on a balloon. Like, you know, it just doesn't seem, some of the things, I'll drain your bank account. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Some of the things, but it's kind of, you can't just pick and choose, right? Or are there people that are like, I don't get naked, I just bounce on balloons, take it or leave it?
Yeah, you definitely can. I mean, that's the best thing about OnlyFans. It's like it's your platform. So you have control over everything. You say what you will do, you say what you won't do. Of course, like, yeah, some guys might get annoyed that you won't do their request that they're asking for. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you absolutely don't have to. So if a guy comes to you and says, I want a balloon custom, and you're like, yeah, that's fine, but I will not be nude. That's up to them whether or not they accept that or not.
And that's trendy, a balloon custom.
Looning, Olivia.
There was
sorry.
Looning, yeah. There's actually quite a large community. One of my friends, that's like her niche. I don't do it so much, but I've had a few requests for it. But I don't think it's not like to the degree of like a foot fetish, but there's a lot of people that do like it.
Okay, what else? This is fascinating.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's just like, think about literally anything and there's a fetish for it. Like, trust me. Every day I'm like, what the hell? What's this? Like, people, like, I don't know. There's just people wanting different objects as well, like shoved in places that those objects shouldn't be, shoved.
My husband used to work in the emergency room, and he said, I was like, what was one of the strangest things that you experienced working in the emergency room? And he said that they had a certain person that would come in and have light bulbs up their butt. But the reason they'd come in is because they liked the way it felt to be taken out. So they wouldn't have them taken out by strangers. They would literally go into the hospital and have people remove the light bulbs from their butt.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's wild. I've heard stories about people.
Now, I know this. You've told me this before, but you said they don't want to have strangers do it, so they go to the hospital, and I'm like, isn't that the same
I mean,
thing?
like, they don't want the people that put it in to take it out.
Put them in, yeah.
Right. They do want strangers to take them out.
Right.
Yeah.
I must have said it wrong.
Yeah, you did. I was confused.
But you have to do it so carefully because it could shatter.
Yeah, it's really dangerous when you put stuff like that up there. But yeah, there's a lot of guys specifically, they like that. They'll do it in their spare time and stuff like that, and then they end up in the hospital. Yeah, it's not great.
I feel very boring. I'm like,
yeah. I know, same.
You're far from boring.
So do you have any thoughts on what the next big challenge will be?
I'm trying to figure it out. I think I'm going to put it to my followers and see what they want to see me do. Mm-hmm. I just saw my friend this morning actually put up a post. She's doing, I think, 2,000 guys in a day. So
what?
I don't know if I can do that.
2,000.
Yeah. I think I'm thinking more like I had a challenge this year. Part of my challenge was sleeping with 500 virgins. So I'm actually still working on that challenge.
Where are you?
I think I've done... Yeah, I've done like 225 or something around that number. So it's a lot hard. That's actually been the hardest challenge I've done because it's obviously hard to get virgins who are willing to, lose their virginity on camera to a porn star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, yeah, but everyone that's done it has been so grateful and had a great time. So, but I'm thinking like maybe if I can get X amount of virgins in a day, that would be cool, like 50 to 100 in a day. But yeah, it's just a little bit harder to organize.
Yeah. What's the youngest and what's the oldest that you know of, like from the challenge or whatever that you've slept with?
The youngest, 18. That's
right.
Nothing under 18.
Right.
And then the oldest, probably like 75.
And what about as far as the hate goes? What has been what has been that experience, and why do you think that you get so much hate? What is it that you're touching upon that's bothering people?
I think that it just kind of depends. There's a lot of different aspects to it. I think the main thing is people hate to see a woman succeeding and being happy in doing something that she loves. And I think a lot of the time the hate that I get online, whether or not they even realize it, is they're jealous. I'm living my life so openly. I'm doing everything I want to do. I'm so comfortable sharing these like sexual escapades online and being honest about my sex life, where a lot of women feel like they have to be this way or whatever because of society, and so they can't really live authentically. And so I think the fact that I'm out here living authentically, getting paid a shit ton of money to do it, and doing something that's liberating and makes me feel good, and having the financial freedom that I do, I think a lot of it comes from jealousy. But I think there's also people that, you know, disagree with it because they, you know, don't really believe in sex work, or they might be super religious, or, you know, there's kind of different reasons, I think. But I think the main one is jealousy. Whether or not that's jealous that I've been with 583 guys in a day is a different thing, but
I don't think it would be that.
I don't think it would. That sounds exhausting. That sounds exhausting.
I don't think it's that.
What about feelings like the human emotions of guilt, shame? Do you ever wake up going, what did I do? I mean, I do that if I have too many cookies, you know? If I had 500 cookies in one day, I would wake up being like, what is wrong with me? Do you ever have those feelings?
No, because I don't know. It's just, I think it's really hard to explain, because when I'm there, and I think everyone that was there on the day, the guys themselves, but also my workers, my employees that I had with me, they all saw it, that it's just such a positive, like, community energy where the guys are so respectful, I'm so respectful, and it's just, I don't know, it just feels really good. It's not like I'm sleeping with guys that are really horrible or awful and I'm like, oh, that was the worst thing ever. It's like, these guys are so lovely, they're so grateful, and it just makes you feel so good. Like, I walked away from that day being like, oh, I feel really good. There was no regret, no shame. I'm just, you know, doing me and they're doing them. So good on them for coming.
Good on them for coming.
Good on them for coming. And what about your relationship to your past religion? That didn't seep into your brain at all, or?
I think because it was like so pushed onto me and I didn't really have a choice. Like, when I was younger, I almost went the opposite way, where I was like, I don't necessarily believe in this. And I had issues with the fact that obviously, like, back then, it was the Catholic Church and they were against like gay marriage and that kind of thing, which I was like so for gay marriage and that kind of thing. I was like, this doesn't really align with me. This isn't what I believe in. And so, yeah, I just sort of was like, that's just not for me. I hated that it was pushed onto me and that I was like forced to go to church and forced to do all these things that I didn't, you know, align with. So once I left school, I was like, that's it, done. I'm all done. But my mum is very Catholic. She goes to church every Sunday. Like, she is quite religious.
Mm. And what about women, like women subscribers, or, you know, do you only entertain men, or is it women as well?
Yeah, no, I do get women. They're less common. I think because my brand and like I call it my brand because, you know, it is business, but it's more directed towards men. All the challenges I do are with men. So it's mostly men. But I do get a few women, particularly like couples, like married couples will subscribe and they'll sort of do it together, which I really love. I think that's really nice and very progressive.
Do you guys do that as a couple?
No. It's like, you know, if you're a chef and then you get home from work, you don't really feel like cooking. Do you know what I mean? So it's what I do for work. I don't really feel like subscribing to other people and, you know, doing it in my spare time.
Right.
Yeah, we get it. We don't listen to a lot of podcasts. We're like,
Yeah. Yep.
we need less talking when we get home.
Yes.
But that makes sense. I'm curious what your relationship was with sexuality before you got to this point. So you said you started by doing pictures and the OnlyFans, and then that was a gradual incline to actual sexual content. So what was your relationship like with sexuality
Prior
and
to
partners?
OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had like a really bad, I guess, like idea of what sex was meant to be when I was younger. I had a few bad experiences when I was like in my late teens. And then I started like thinking that, you know, that's what sex is. Sex is to like please a man. It's not for my enjoyment. It's for the male guys, the male person's enjoyment. So that's sort of what I always believed. And I actually credit OnlyFans for being the reason why I really started to enjoy sex, because I started, you know, filming sex for OnlyFans, and then I was like, oh, that was actually quite a good experience. Like I enjoyed that. And then I sort of started experimenting a little bit more and, you know, even telling the guys what I enjoyed. And then as time went on, it became more enjoyable. And I think, you know, I started to realize sex is meant to be pleasurable for both parties. And so sort of since doing OnlyFans, that's sort of where my acceptance of sex has come from, I suppose. And like even with, you know, obviously doing what I do and being so open about my life, I don't really care what people think. But like 5 years ago, I cared so much what people thought about me. Like it was my number one concern. I used to have the worst anxiety. All I cared about was, oh, do I look okay? Or is this person going to like me? Or did I just say the wrong thing? Like I was just constantly overthinking, constantly anxious. And I don't know what happened, but I've obviously gone just the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And I'm just so much happier now. I'm so much more relaxed. I don't get anxiety anymore. It's just like, yeah, it's a much better life.
Can you help me understand the difference? Right. I don't know the laws in Australia, but in the United States, prostitution is still illegal.
Okay.
However, porn is legal. And so what you're doing, if someone, is it because they're not paying?
But they are paying.
They're not paying. Not the people having sex with her.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, they're
For me,
paying
no.
for it. No,
No, it's free.
People
That's the
pay to
whole-
watch it on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
But the men that are actually having sex with her are not paying her.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
So is that what
So-
differentiates?
No, well, so like prostitution, I believe, is legal in Australia. Like at least escorting, I think it's similar realms.
Oh, wait, sorry.
That's legal.
In LA, I mean, in certain states, it's not legal here in the United States, but there are
Okay.
certain states where it is legal. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically that they can absolutely go pay to have that experience. But I mean, if you're getting it offered to you for free, it's like, that's so much better. You save yourself like $2,000. It's a much better option.
So
Right.
So they just pay to watch the content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like porn.
Yeah, but because here, like, let's say Los Angeles, it's still illegal here, prostitution. So, but you can have sex on camera, and that's not illegal. I just don't understand the difference. Do you?
You're looking at me like I know.
Do you? Like, what's the difference?
I guess
Kevin, do you?
prostitution is like you're paying to have sex with someone, whereas if you're paying to watch someone have sex, that's just like porn. So it's just the difference between porn and prostitution, I suppose.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I'm like, what's the difference? Just, I guess that's why everyone's fighting to decriminalize it, right?
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing. I feel like now is a time that we've never experienced when it comes to sex work.
Yeah, it's so interesting because on one hand, you've got all the people that want to, you know, decriminalize it and give sex workers rights and whatnot. And then you've got the other side where everyone wants to like just completely ban it. So it's sort of like a really uncertain area at the moment. And, you know, you hear about all these states in America that are making it harder to access porn, like on Pornhub and stuff like that. You know, in certain states, they have to show their ID every time they log on, which, you know, it does make it a little bit harder for us as creators, and it makes it feel a little bit uncertain, which is a bit scary.
Right.
What states are those?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure.
Like you're like asking her all the questions about the United States. Like, so
Yeah, no, I know.
in what state can we secretly log on to Pornhub? This is just so fascinating to me, you know, and this is your brand and your business and everything, and it's just very like interesting to hear the other side of it and how it all works and everything you experience, and how respected you are by your subscribers and everything else. And I just think it's like just shining a light on something that we know nothing about. And so it's been really just super fascinating to hear it all.
Totally. And one more question. So you take someone like Sophie Rain, right, who's making Sophie Rain made what, like $2 million in one day or something.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
OnlyFans?
Allegedly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Bella Thorne or something, didn't she make a ton of money in a day for joining OnlyFans?
I think so. And then so you have someone like Sophie Rain who doesn't do what is it called? Intercourse.
Explicit.
Explicit content. So it's just like girl on girl, right? Like making out with chicks and stuff. I think it's really mild, correct? Do you know?
I actually don't know. I haven't done my research, but I know she doesn't do sex collabs with men. I'm not sure. I don't even know if she does nudes and stuff. People can be quite secretive about the content they put out because they want people to subscribe expecting to see like sex tapes, and then they subscribe and it's just like nudes or whatever. So you just don't know.
Yeah, from what I've heard, she does more like girls showering with girls, really kind of mild PG stuff, and is making bananas cuckoo money, allegedly, like you said. So did you try that route first and the money wasn't there, so then you went to the explicit, or were you just like, fuck it, I'm going to go to explicit?
You started with like bikini photos and things like that, right? Isn't that what you
Yeah.
said? Yeah.
That was mostly because I was like so scared about people finding out, and I was really insecure at the time, and so I didn't feel comfortable like putting nudes and stuff up. And then as I got more comfortable, I felt more like, oh yeah, I'm okay doing that and putting that content out there. But I think the money does lie in having explicit content. But if you are, you know, like Corinna Koff or whatever, she makes like $1 million a day or something absolutely insane. And that's because she was a huge personality, a huge influencer prior to starting her OnlyFans.
Got it.
So she can get away with doing that. Whereas when you're just like a nobody, you kind of do have to push it a little bit further, I think.
Well, you certainly have pushed it further. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, you're supporting, you know, just your proper, like everything. It's just very, I mean, congratulations on your success.
Thanks.
And being so open to talk about it and, you know, coming here to talk about it and telling your whole story. And we'll be curious what the next challenge is.
And how the longevity of your career, like how long you can ride this thing out, you know, is
no pun intended.
No pun intended. Is there anything else you want us to know, or you want other people to know that?
Yeah, you want to get out there.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, to be honest. We've covered a lot. You guys have been very thorough.
Well,
but yeah, I actually really appreciate you guys like asking all these questions, because the more we speak about this, the more I hope to like destigmatize it. And I just want people to say that I'm a real person. Yes, I might be doing these insane things, but I'm still like a normal girl just living her life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really appreciate you being so open and honest and everything else. Very, very cool.
Yeah, of course.
I hope no more hospitalization.
Yeah, no more hospitalization. And we'll keep the conversation going, because I'm sure it's going to be an evolution. And it's new. That's the truth. It's new. It's, you know, you're only 3 years in. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's going to be a whole evolution in your career, in your life, and we'll keep talking about it.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we always say Olivia, are you going to start your OnlyFans page for your feet? How do you feel about it now after our conversation?
We don't always say that.
We always say it.
I feel the same.
But what are your thoughts now?
They're the same. I have it set up.
Nice. Only feet.
MILF feet coming at you.
Wow.
Someone was like, you're such a niche MILF.
I feel like you should just do an experiment.
You should.
What? No one's asking to see my feet.
Oh my God. Rachel, Sarah Bilson, they want to see them. Are you kidding?
Not my feet.
Yeah, they do. Are you insane? They want to see my feet because I'm sitting next to you.
This could change the economy.
Watch this, guys.
Oh my goodness.
How much could I get for that? Just rubbing you with my feet the whole time?
It's a real question.
We'll end the podcast. We'll be millionaires.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Fuck a podcast.
Yep. We want to know.
What else is going on? Yeah, that was fascinating. I truly just felt like I was sitting here learning for an hour.
Yeah.
She was 100%. Really nice.
What interests you the most?
I hate to say, and a future guest, John Gabers, we talked about a similar thing of, it's unfortunate how quickly my brain goes to like, wow, that's a really profitable business and stuff. But I did think it was, of course, going from making $200,000 a month to $600 was very impressive. But it's not all about money.
Wait, is that 600 Australian?
Oh, it's a good question.
I know. I meant to ask her.
I don't know.
Probably, right? Or is OnlyFans a U.S. company? Does anybody know this? These are questions I should have asked.
See, we want to know it all.
Yep.
I have so many questions.
$600,000.
Whatever it is, still $600,000 a month
of anything
in any currency is going to be a lot
of chips.
I'm not a fast math guy.
Hold on, but
600 times 12.
Unless it's like yen.
That's 7,200,000 a year.
What?
Good for her.
Holy. Yeah. All right. Holy crap! That's a lot of money.
Lot of money.
I thought it was really interesting when she was talking about how much. I guess it's not very surprising, but like regular people is such a big market for her that it's not like, oh, we want to see you with other, with other models and porn stars and stuff. It was like much more about, like homemade as like a genre of porn. And it seems like that's like a market she's really tapped into.
For sure.
Which makes sense why people would want that, because they can relate to it. They're like,
yes,
dude, that could be me.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Right. It's smart.
Yeah, it is smart.
Super interesting.
It is.
It's still physically hard for me.
Exhausting.
To think about that.
Yeah.
Like
it's
the
a lot.
Physical act of
6 hours of nonstop.
6 hours of sex, period. Even if it was with one person is a lot.
Yeah. Yes.
25 minutes is a lot.
Yeah. 6 hours.
So 6 hours.
Huh. It's super fascinating.
And that the fiance, I think about him.
Yeah, he's supportive.
But there is one common thread of everyone we've talked to in OnlyFans or the porn industry or whatever. They're like, it's a job. It's business.
Yep.
And so how does one separate their body in order to make it a business?
I think it takes a certain type of person and personality. Like either you can or you can't.
Right.
That's my opinion. I don't know if that's fact.
I wonder what Patty Stingler would say.
Yeah.
She's like,
coming up.
She's like the whatchamacallit. What is it? The hormone that you guys have.
Pheromone?
Oh, yeah.
Testosterone?
No.
Estrogen?
No.
Like
you guys. Not endorphin.
Progesterone? What?
The one that makes you fall in love.
And oxytocin.
Yes. Did she oxytocin on all 540 of those men?
Like imprint?
She's like, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm in love with 545 men.
I think it was like 583.
Okay, sorry, I got the number wrong. But
yeah, it's very impressive.
Oof, a lot.
I can barely sit for an hour without getting fidgety or distracted. So
Every time I sit in a movie theater to watch a movie before it starts, I'm like, fuck, I gotta sit here for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
And watch this movie.
so you don't think you have what it takes to do as she
I thought you were gonna say, and you don't think you have ADHD.
Oh, no. Like we always say.
I recorded yesterday someone who broke the Guinness World Record for hanging by her hair for 25 straight minutes. She's a
Hanging by
Yeah.
her hair? Like her whole head of hair?
yeah. She like braided it and then like wrapped it around like a ring, and then someone filmed her and
For
she
25 minutes.
basically spun around for like 25 minutes. She's like a gymnast, and what's the word when
Acrobat.
you can contortionist,
Oh,
and yeah, she's an
contortionist.
acrobat and everything.
I don't mean any disrespect to her, but I thought you were gonna say 24 hours.
You're like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Get a
You gotta
day
compete.
job.
You gotta beat her. But she talked a lot about meditation and kind of what Annie was talking about too, of like, or a little bit, and then Gabrus as well. Mindfulness and appreciation and gratitude, and I find that's really interesting with like high performing people. How much meditation and gratitude is like a recurring thing for them. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Annie seemed very grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She really did.
Really, truly.
Really grateful.
Yeah.
So maybe she's
She
just
loves
like, I'm
her
grateful for
fans,
that,
subscribers.
that going in right now, taking it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty fun.
It doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it might sound fun. Does it sound fun to you?
583 dudes in 6 hours?
Yeah.
That's a Tuesday. No, it does not sound fun. Does not.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is, but she seems
like to genuinely
enjoy what
love
she does.
She does.
Yeah.
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 Have you ever considered doing it yourself?
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
No, not
Has
at all.
Kevin considered doing OnlyFans?
Hey, when I last more than 583 seconds, like
Yeah.
that's a wrap. Like that's a great day.
How would you feel if Leah wanted to do it?
I'd support it.
You would?
Yeah, I don't think I'd have any judgment. But
Even if she wanted to sleep with other people?
that would be harder.
But if it was from like a business standpoint, you're like, you could make $600,000 a month. Jeff would be like, absolutely, Olivia.
I got a proposition recently with
Sure.
the fee, and he was like, dude, come on.
Yeah,
Take it.
that's funny.
Gone, take the money and run.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's interesting, like with the business stuff too, because I think I watch these like YouTube guys who have like 50 million YouTube followers, and it's the same thing. They're like, everyone loves your personality, and he's like, it's a business. It's it's not just. He's like, same thing. Like, I love my fans and this and that, but at the end of the day, I'm running a several dozen employee staff, and same with her. It was just like she's hired several people. I really liked the like vetting process she was talking about too. Of like, it wasn't just like, it's not just like quote unquote strangers. There is like a vetting process to make sure that it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Safety was like a big thing as well. So I don't know. It's all very interesting.
Very interesting.
Well,
let us know if there's any other areas you guys want to learn about.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
here
or
for
any
you.
kinds of guests and stuff.
Yeah, we love that.
Love it.
Love an expert
Yeah.
in their field.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a Headgum podcast.